Thank you, Marek. I have just noticed my first speech is very long. Sorry for that. I'll try to keep it short. Well, first things first, thank you for coming, the member of the press, dear ambassador of the European Union, Carmen, dear ambassadors, journalists, professionals. I'm part of my team in Colombo. We are very grateful for the invitation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Election Commission. In one of the main newspapers of the country, we were situated in the same level of one Indian military vessel, 3 Chinese military vessels, and the guys coming from the European Union. And the rest of the paragraph, it was an editorial piece. It was who invited these guys? Who invited these colonial guys? We were invited by your authorities. We never conduct any kind of observation without having a prior invitation of the authorities. We are very grateful with the state institutions, the judiciary, the civil society, very active, the media, the political parties, and the people. The people that, my personal experience, we receive us with the most warming, welcome smile in every polling station. And this is very rewarding. And also thank you to my team, to my excellent team, led by Inta, and Marek, and the colleagues, and Basil, and Ralph, and many others, having sustained this effort of the European Union to try to be of help for the country. Allow me to say something about the context of the mission. We accepted the invitation of Sri Lanka. We had to choose among many invitations, and we decided to come. We decided to come not only because it's a usual thing that we do, this is our 7th electoral mission, but also because this election has been the translation, or the electoral translation of the unease and the tension and the unrest that the Ragalaya signified for the country. And we were very interested in knowing in which way this crisis, having been conducted out of the institutional challenge, could be finally channeled by the electoral laws and the institution, and in a peaceful way. As I said in my first conference, I'm happy to underline again, we had excellent news, peaceful and calm environment, absolutely. Minor, irrelevant incidents, and the other good news, the divide because the religion, the ethnic, the identity has not been present at the core of the campaign and the elections. And this is excellent news. And the results, and it has been underlined by your media, the results show that this is not a divide, or has not been a divide, at least in these elections. We are presenting what we call our preliminary findings. And we always start our preliminary findings with a paragraph, carefully crafted, that try to appear in a nutshell what is our impression. Allow me to read it literally. The 2024 presidential election was the first pivotal step after the Ragalaya to reinvigorate the democratic process through the ballot box. The Election Commission of Sri Lanka conducted the process independently and with resolve, ensuring transparency at all key stages of the elections. The contest itself was pluralistic and fundamental freedoms were broadly respected. Campaign was peaceful and energetic, yet advantage of incumbency tilted the playfield with some manipulative digital campaigns aimed to confuse voters. The election day was orderly and calm, respecting the right of voters and principle of transparency. Vote count and the tabulation of result was also positively rated by citizens and international observers, and all lead candidates accepted the outcome of the polls. I have to say, this is the first time in my long list of 20-something missions in which I'm delivering the press conference having already a president having been sworn, and this is a very speedy process, a very calm and very peaceful, and I think the conceding speeches and statements were very useful. What is the problems that we appreciated in a general environment of excellent conduct of the elections? We don't ask in any way to a reshuffle, to the reform of your electoral processes, but there are probably they need a kind of fine-tuning. It's to refine. It's not about to change deeply, because it's high time to get rid of old practices not in line with the maturity and the development of your historic electoral tradition. And we are talking about some of these practices that are completely out of the rest of the process, and probably these practices are going to be part of our recommendations in the final report. The mission is our 7th mission, as I said. It's a tradition to come, and this is a proof of engagement. When we come to a country, it's a signal of our willing to continue the relation and to be partners of the country. We arrived, the core team arrived on mid-August. On the day of the election, we had 70 observers observing the opening, the voting, the counting, the tabulation. We visited 274 polling stations, and we were present in 29 counting premises and in 22 tabulation centers. I don't want to extend on this. If you need any kind of figures about the shape and the scope and the activities of the mission, we are eager to provide anything you need. Let's go to the assessment more in detail. The legal framework of your country to conduct elections is perfectly conducive, and we are happy to note that there are improvements in the last period. Some of the improvement, not only because we recommend, because probably there are proper domestic analysis regarding data protection, regarding campaign financing, and regarding the inclusion of the new voters in the voters list at the end of the moment, in a way that any person having 18 years could be included in the voter list to vote. Some concerns that are, if you allow me to say, a kind of preemptive or preventive concerns, because there are new laws, the laws on terrorism, the online safety law, and the draft on civil society organization that raise some concern. Not only because the text, and because some interpretation of these laws could conduct some erosion of fundamental rights. I'm not saying in any way, because these laws has not been used in the process, but they are still passed, and some of them being drafted, and we are a little bit worried what could be the use of these laws later. Election Commission. I'm very happy to say probably this is of my long list of missions, the mission with which I had the opportunity to appreciate the commitment and the capacity and the excellent results of the work of the Election Commission. In many ways, very transparent, very efficient, very professional, trusted. Not one single of my interlocutors, probably the rest of the team, has never cast a minor doubt about the attitude of the Election Commission. And to enjoy this trust is really an asset that you have to enjoy and to keep it and to take care of. Very close to the civil society, working with the civil society, vocal, because it's not as frequent to see Election Commission coming out vocally saying, be careful with that, don't do that, we notice that, and coming out publicly, for example, with the fake surveys, or with the misuse of state resources, or other issues is not only to act professionally, it's to appear before the public opinion doing things and being the watchdog of the election. The collaboration with police has been excellent, despite the lack of having a general inspector, and this is good news, meaning your institution functions not depending on the person, because the institutional game is well established, and then the police acted on behalf of the Election Commission and an excellent record of interventions, tried to avoid any problem regarding the election. Our concern then is not about the political will and the professionalism of the Election Commission, it's about the lack of proper enforcement capacities. Not sufficiently probably funded, with probably with a lack of personnel and a lack of maybe material resources, and this is a thing the country has to tackle, because you enjoy an excellent election commission in many aspects, but the election commission has to be reinforced in the enforcement capacities. The registration of the candidates, nothing to comment on the formal process. But what was the result of the registration process? 39 male candidates. At the end, 38 male candidates, not one single woman. And this is a problem. And this is a problem you have to tackle. Women is the thing that you are listening from us in our report, because it's quite strange that, if you allow me, there are 2 monks and no one single woman in the list. I guess there are more women in the country than monks, but anyway, this is a thing you have to solve, because this is one of the things that is not in line with the maturity of your electoral process. And 39 candidates, several of them not even having conducted a campaign. 39 candidates, it's a big number of candidates from the point of view of the state resources allocated to candidates not campaigning, or not representing any other thing than being proxies of the real candidate, or being only trying to have some notoriety in the society. That costs money for the budget of the state, for the treasury. And I think you have to think of ways to try to be sure that the candidates for this important position, as is a president, is representing something in the society, not the particular political will to appear in a list. I'm not asking in any way for raise the guarantee bond. No. There are other ways to be sure that the people enlisted to be candidate is representing something in the public opinion. On the campaign, perfectly peaceful, energetic, with the candidates not using religious divide, but approaching religious communities and ethnic communities, every one of them, and for tanto, breaking a little bit this old traditional alignment having to do with geography and ethnicity. It's true, at the end of the campaign there was a growing hostility and a growing race of the hostile narrative, especially in social media, but this is a trend, unfortunately, in every country of the world, and we all have to deal with this kind of new phenomena. The contendants, they were real contendants, offering different things. Sometimes in many regimes there are several contendants representing exactly the same. No, this has been a free campaign offering to the citizens real alternatives. The level playing field, this is an issue that I have just mentioned, and the advantage of incumbent in many aspects. One common also to the other candidates, lavish promises of raising salaries immediately, commitments to interest-free loans for students and for small businesses, social benefits. This is one phenomenon. The realistic approach to this kind of commitments and the trust of the people in the feasibility of this commitment. The other part is less common, and is the use of state officials for campaigning, the use of state vehicles for campaigning, and I think this misuse of state resources has been fueled also because the lack of the counterpower that could be the local and provincial political bodies. Because if the local and political bodies are appointed by the central government, is the central government exercising any competence? And doing so is blurring the lines between government and campaigning. Finance, for the first time, we are very happy to have recommended the country to go ahead with legislation on campaign finance. It's the first time. It's true there are an absence of limits on private donation, and the other main issue is the control of the finance is provided after the campaign. Meaning, it's true, Election Commission is trying to have a look on the campaign financing, but this is not an information that has been offered before to the voters to be part of the equation of anyone. And I think it could be an effort for the Election Commission, but the finance campaign is not the data to collect for the history. It's the data to offer to the voters as part of the information regarding the candidates. And the problems that I mentioned, the Election Commission is receiving 39 finance reports. In our view, with difficulties to manage, except is the Election Commission simply stamp the papers and publish the papers online. And for that reason, we insisted a lot in the digital format of the forms of the financial reports of the candidates, in a way that let's say the task that is difficult to take for the Election Commission could be done by the civil society. But if at the end we only have 39 piles of papers, this is going to be difficult, and this is another thing, another issue to tackle, the format of the financial reports of the candidates. Media, we have been following and checking and tracking 6 TVs, 2 publics, 4 privates, 3 radios, 3 newspapers, and 4 online outlets. Some of prominent media have not complied with the obligation of offering free airtime to some of the candidates, but the main problem of the media is the partisan bias, the partisan alignment of the most part of the media, and the lack of debate. Of course, the people knows very well what papers are supporting one candidate, but at least to have some debate in a way that you can compare the offers and you could see the contenders struggling peaceful with another, offering a more complete and not only a partisan bias information. And another concerning subject, this fear-mongering campaign about the violence. Sometimes I had the impression that the people are asking or predicting the violence as inevitable. They were looking for a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. To me it was astonishing, because when I visited the premises, it was so calm, so peaceful, completely any kind of unrest, not to say tension. And then there is a campaign in the media saying violence is happening, violence is happening, violence is happening. And this is a thing that has been spread by some media, and this is far from any kind of professional approach from a journalist. Social media. We have been following 300 accounts in the social media, having at least 1,000 followers each, trying to have a map about what happened in the social media. We noticed, as I said, especially in the social media, the increasing of the hostile rhetoric, especially at the end of the campaign, manipulated content. As I said, it's happening elsewhere. Accusatory statement, the invasion, the colonization of the gossip program and entertainment program by politics and partisan politics, and even the use of private social media accounts for campaigning, using relevant people, influencers, and people having a lot of followers, allowing to use their accounts for political purposes. Luckily, there are fact checkers. We don't do fact checking. We don't do fact checking. We follow the media, and we ban and we trust the domestic reliable fact checkers, just to in case. And we know the efforts of the Election Commission to deal with the platforms, asking them to respect the law, with inconsistent results. There are platforms that they comprehend they have to refrain or to reinforce the control that they have, and there have been other completely disregarding the idea. And for that reason, we had a campaign during the silence days and during the day of the elections, because some of the social media platforms, they simply didn't intervene when it was clear there was campaign, direct campaign, during the silent days. The fake surveys have been one of the issues that you know that has been addressed by the Election Commission. Civil society, congratulations, lively, committed, very agile in the things, pointing at some things like transparency and inclusiveness. And I think we have some good record on inclusiveness of the election regarding people with disabilities, better than in other occasions. Of course, they have been following the disinformation, and we try to debunk some disinformation, and they track violation immediately to communicate to the Election Commission, and the Election Commission to the police. That I have to praise the police and the way in which the police immediately were active following the instructions of the Election Commission. The election day was very professional. Very professional. It's true that you are tasking the main functions to civil servants. They are educated people knowing very well how to deal with papers, many papers, but they did very well. A few females chairing the polling station board for many reasons, but this is a thing to do. But in the counting centers, there were a lot of females chairing the counting teams that they had. The observers, without any restriction, observing the election. We only had one minor problem because one chair of a poll asked for the passport to our observer, but nothing to do with us, nothing to relate, nothing with the party observer, nothing with the PAFREL and other society organization observing the election. Minor events in any way affecting, despite having had 600 complaints for the D-Day, nothing particularly remarkable, and nothing at all being not allowing the peaceful development of the voting. Social media campaigning during the silence days and social media campaigning during the election day. This is more or less our assessment about the process. I would like to say a final remark coming from a politician. Don't be alarmed and the process is don't be alarmed. Your democracy has a solid foundation. your democracy has an extended experience and tradition of election. As I said in the beginning, we are only recommending to refine some things. It's a kind of fine-tuning, but it's high time to get rid of these old practices of misuse of the state's resources. It's not needed in any way. It's not matching with the maturity of the electorate and the voters. And regarding the misuse, because now you have in power a leader of the opposition, and you are having elections, parliamentary and local and regional, this is a good test for the new administration. If they are doing the same that they have suffered as opposition, or if the administration is changing finally this kind of traditions. And I don't know if we are being in the country, but our embassy is being in the country, and we are being aware of these practices that the current government has suffered as an opposition. They are going to repeat it or not. And the other thing, this is another political approach, friendly political approach. I think it's needed a closer alignment between the people and the political elite. Listen, the same day in which a state institution, as the election commission said, this has been the most peaceful electoral campaign and electoral process in our history. The same day, there was a curfew. And this is not matching. Something is not, something is happening, because how can you say at the same time, you the state, because the election commission is the state, you say this is the most peaceful campaign in our history, and suddenly, without time to go anywhere, we have to call our teams to go to the hotels without time to do it. To me, it's a useless and unnecessary curfew, and not matching with the excellent behavior of the voters along the day and along the geography of the country. And this curfew has tarnished uselessly an overall excellent process. The state can say to the citizens in the morning, thank you for being so committed, thank you for being so educated, thank you for exercising your rights in the most peaceful and kind way. The same state can say during the evening, we don't trust the mob. You have to choose. You have to choose the citizen or a mob.